So you're moving to Utah, coming to Salt Lake, but you're not so sure about the cost of living here? Today we're going to be talking about that. What's the cost of living here in Salt Lake City? What's up everybody, Nic DeSeelhorst here, Salt Lake City Realtor. I'm here to educate you and entertain you about all things Salt Lake City, Salt Lake Valley. Today we're talking about the cost of living so we can run down housing prices, utilities, transportation, all these things that encompass what it's going to cost you to live here and enjoy the amazing life that Salt Lake has to offer. You know, maybe you've seen a few of my other videos where I mentioned how the cost of living here compared to other major metropolitan cities is lower. So we're going to be diving into the very specifics so you can actually educate yourself on what to expect when you're coming to move here and enjoy your time. Be sure to stick around because the last one I'm going to mention is housing. The housing costs. Being a realtor is something that I'm always delving into, walking around these amazing homes. You range from a pretty significant price range of houses. You've got Park City, you've got multi-million-dollar homes, even condos, down to more affordable housing. That is number one, but we're going to start with something a little more fun. Entertainment. Things like restaurants, movie tickets, that kind of thing. You know, I talked to in one of my last videos, going to Broadway shows, going to Ballet West. You're going to want to go to a restaurant before that. And an average 3-course meal at a nicer restaurant here in Salt Lake is going to cost you about $60 to $80 for 2 people. That's total. And that's without alcohol, choosing an appetizer over a dessert, that kind of thing. You're looking at about a $20 to $30 per plate at a nicer restaurant here in Salt Lake. You know, anything from $15 to $20 per entree is going to be one of your nicer sit-down restaurants. And then, of course, you've got your chain fast food restaurants speckled throughout the city. So those are always available. Chipotle, it's one of my favorites. You know, you're looking at an $11 to $12 burrito if you're getting the guac. So let's be real. Things are increasing. So a nice restaurant, nice sit-down restaurant, you're looking at about a $27 to $35 per entree. Movie tickets, you'll probably see this around everywhere else, but it's, $12 per ticket. But if you're going to like a Broadway or a Ballet West show, you're looking at a, $20 per seat, depending on where you're sitting in the balcony or, down in the orchestra. I think those are the terms, but you're going to see an increase in the price, upwards in that $60 to $100 per seat, depending on where you're at. But you can get in to see some amazing shows at a more affordable, $50, $30 to $50 seat. Healthcare, we do see pretty close costs to the national average. Regular doctor's visits, $100 to $150. Dental checkup, $90 to $120, depending on if your insurance is covering that. Again, we do have an amazing economy, great jobs. They do have dental insurance. They do have healthcare, these kind of things. So if it's in your plan, you're going to save some money there, which is great. Groceries, we do tend to be a little lower than the national average. For a family of 4, you're about $600 to $700 a month. This all is super dependent on your lifestyle, whether you buy organic, whether you buy top premium meats and vegetables, that's all going to increase the value of your groceries. But on the average, you're looking at about $600 to $700 per family of 4. So pretty good price for the national average. Okay, now we're getting into some of the topics that you actually do, maybe care about on a daily basis, what you're budgeting for. All these things into consideration. You do consider, entertainment, food, healthcare, but you do more equate utilities, transportation, and housing when you consider cost of living. So let's talk about transportation. You can get a monthly transit pass for $85. So if you want to ride, the bus system is pretty good depending on where you're living. If you're more in the west side of the valley, it's going to be harder. You don't have as frequent bus stops on the West Valley. It's something that is being worked on, and you don't have as direct timelines. But there are great bus systems throughout the valley. You do have light rail all downtown. So if you want a public transit pass, it's going to cost you about $85 for the year. Gas prices are about close to the national average. When you're coming from places like Arizona, California, Texas, they might be a little higher, but we're right now at about low $4, high $3 per gallon, which is pretty nice. And that's unleaded because that's what I use. And additional costs like car insurance, parking, maintenance, that's all That's all the average. You're gonna see it the same pretty much everywhere. You got the same oil change, brake services, all those things. You do see similar. Basically, you're just paying for labor. All right, so your utilities, your gas, your water, your electricity, your public pickup of your garbage, things like that. You're gonna wanna budget for about $500 a month. That's all things into consideration, and it does change throughout the year. You're gonna be using a lot more gas depending on your system in the winter for heating and cooling. You're gonna be using a lot more electricity in the winter because you're gonna be running your AC more. You can get by with $300 to $400 a month, but on my average budget, it's about $500 just for the year. You know, if you don't use that during that month, you can budget that into a different area of your expenses. So that's what I do. It's about $500 for me, but on the average of Salt Lake, it's about $300 to $400. Lastly, you got housing. So the median right now is $550,000 for a single family house in Salt Lake. That is pretty high, but when you're considering, again, some of the major metropolitan areas that people are moving from, that is actually affordable. They're selling their house, you know, for $600,000, $800,000 or more, and coming in and buying a $550,000 house or, you know, $600,000 house. They're pocketing that additional income. So affordability is a concern, but Utah did just come out and say they're going to use $25 million that they got from the pandemic, you know, health plan, to actually build 1,500 affordable housing options. So they're going to be using a ton of money, $25 million, to build these affordable housing because they do recognize that this is an issue and they need to address it, and they're actually doing some amazing things. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to be covering it on my social media. You know, Instagram, Facebook is something that I post pretty regularly on. So housing is a concern. We are constrained by the valley. The mountains do put us in a boundary. So all the developed area, especially on the east side, is already built out. So those homes cannot be condensed. They can't be densified. You can build density in some of the areas, but most of the development is happening on the west side, new development there. So you do see more affordable housing on the west side of the valley and downtown, where you can actually find more affordable condo and rent, things like that. So on the national, or on the average of Salt Lake, rent is about $1,300 per month, and that's pretty hard to find. You know, you're probably looking at about $1,700 and up for rent in Salt Lake, depending on where you go. Obviously, you can find cheaper if you go farther out. But if you're looking in like the major metro area, Sugar House, downtown Salt Lake, South Salt Lake, yeah, you're looking at about $1,700 and up for an average. But we're doing some things. Pay attention. Again, like I said, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, because I will be doing a lot of things here to keep you guys educated, entertained on all things Salt Lake. I'm Nic DeSeelhorst, your Salt Lake City realtor. I love and appreciate every one of you. Go ahead and hit that bell if you like this content and you want to be subscribed and you want to be notified for when I do produce more videos. I really appreciate it. It does motivate me to continue doing these things. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.